Alright guys, so here we have I would say used version of a Punch 500M DSM series from Rockford Fosgate. This is not a trailer queen, my friends. This is an amp that's been used over the years. It's been beat up, it's been scratched a little bit, been dinged, probably mounted under a seat or something. So hey, I mean, you know, that's cool. We can deal with that too. We don't always deal with just mint amplifiers. But to see some that have lived a rough life and see how they perform. So anyway, I'll just walk around the amp real quick and give you a quick overview, and then we'll warm it up with some subwoofers, and then we'll test it out. Alright, so as you can see, we've removed the end caps. Make sure if you have end caps on your amplifiers, if you don't use them, put them in the box, save them, don't throw them away. Too many people have done this over the years, and it makes some of these end caps really difficult to find, like with these amps. So let's just show you the different connections here. You see the punch status display? That's so you could monitor some of the options from the amp on your dash using a PSD1. There's the speaker terminals, pass through for left and right, and there's also the inputs there at the top. There's the single gain control, left plus right or left mono input. So if you just use one input, you'd switch it to the right. If you're using two, keep it on the left. There's your crossover, 24 dB, 12 dB or off, and your phase, 0 or 180 degrees. And here on the other side of the amp, we just have the remote turn on terminal there that uses a spade connector. We have dual 8 gauge inputs and dual 8 gauge for ground as well, power and ground. Kind of small, I know, for you new school guys, but this amp is rated at 500 watts into 2 ohms, so it's not a huge amount of power, so the 8 gauge, 2 of them is probably fine. So let's flip it over and we'll show you the bottom. Alright, so here's the bottom. You can see the silk screening for the Punch 500M. This is the Power series, back when they called them Punch Power instead of just Power. And I don't know why anybody would use full range with this amp. I guess if you had an external crossover, or why you do high pass. That is neat to know that this amp can run full range, so if you did want to run, you know, a couple of 4 ohm mids at 500 watts, then you could do that with this. You can see, don't chassis ground any speaker wire. That's really old school stuff that does that. So let's open this bad boy up real quick and check out the guts. Alright, so here's the guts of the 500M. Check out the huge 4700 microfarad 80 volt capacitors, just enormous. Power supply also very big. Now this amplifier has been repaired, and I know a lot of people think with these old school amps the best way to go is to have them, you know, so they've not been repaired, but honestly guys, a lot of the thermal compound that's under here that keeps the transistors cool will dry out over the years, and it needs to be cleaned off, and it needs to be reapplied with some more thermal paste or thermal tape depending on what the amp uses. So I wouldn't be too concerned as long as the technician who's working on your amp knows what they're doing. I have no problem with amps that have been worked on. It's just the ones that have been tinkered around with people who don't know what they're doing. So don't be afraid of amps that have been repaired, as long as you can see the guts and make sure there's no burn marks, or you know, there's no evidence of a blotchy repair job. So anyway, enough on that. Let's move to the good stuff. Alright, so you can see the Punch 500M Power here on the bench. Power light is on. We always warm up our amps for about 15 to 20 minutes at a decent volume, maybe 25-30% or so, just to warm the amp up before we do the test. So we'll be back shortly with the amp plugged in, ready for the test.